Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be giving you my opinion on each post, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole? Sister using her baby to punish the family. 3 years ago, my wife and I had our first child, the first baby in the family. My sister always looked like she wasn't going to have kids, but did have her dog, a massive Labrador. I'm a big fan of the dog, but my wife understandably was a little nervous, and while she would tolerate the dog at family events pre-baby, when our child was born, she didn't want the dog around our child. Nothing was ever said to my sister, but she did occasionally visit us without the dog, but I think she caught on that there were family meetups that she was no longer invited to as we didn't want the dog around our child. Fast forward, and now my sister has had a baby of her own. We want the cousins to grow up close, but every time we offer to visit, she says we have to leave our child behind because she doesn't want the toddler around her baby. Our child is too rough, and they might bring germs in from nursery. Just to be clear, this baby is around the massive dog all day, so I don't think germs are really an issue. It does feel like she's playing tit for tat, or am I just paranoid? I don't think we were wrong protecting our baby from her dog, so I'm struggling now to see how she's taking the moral high ground. I mean, you kinda went behind her back and stealthily uninvited her from family events and didn't tell her why. Like, for starters, she probably spent the last couple years wondering what the hell she did wrong. I mean, just suddenly out of nowhere, she wasn't invited to family gatherings anymore with no reasoning why. Maybe someone let it slip that the reason why she wasn't invited was because of her dog. That's probably why she started showing up without it as well. Now, with my limited knowledge, the germ thing does make sense to me. Your dog isn't interacting with toddlers on a daily basis while your toddler is. The toddler can bring germs from nursery back, while the dog, at worst, is probably just going to be digging in the backyard and maybe getting a little messy. I'm sure, of course, there are strains of bacteria that can be transmitted from a dog to an infant, but I doubt it's extremely common. At the end of the day, you chose not to communicate with your sister and actively exclude her for a reason that she was unaware of for the longest time. She kinda has every right to get back at you, honestly, if that's even what she's doing. And hell, maybe you are just paranoid and projecting, realizing the guilt and thinking that she's just doing this to get back at you, when in all actuality, she might have a valid reason of, hey, your toddler's kinda rough and I need my infant to at least grow a little bit before they can play and interact. I'd love to hear what you all think about this, because I entirely understand where the sister is coming from if there is some passive-aggressive decisions being made behind the scenes, but I could definitely see that the OP is just being paranoid. Originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for not apologizing to my friend after she screamed at me and my kid at her wedding? Obligatory, this is a throwaway. 2 weeks ago, I, 29 female, hubby, male 31, and son, male 4, attended my BFF's, female 28, wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony, and everything was going great, until BFF and her husband cut the cake. Important context, BFF did speak to me during her wedding planning about being unsure on whether or not to allow kids at her wedding. Her two sisters both have kids around son's age, and she sees him as her nephew too, but she wanted to be able to let loose and enjoy her wedding without worrying about any kids messing things up. I gave her my opinion, saying me and hubby allowed kids at our wedding and wouldn't have it any other way. The kids were still family and deserved to be included. After that, and speaking with her sisters, she and her husband okayed kids for the wedding. Now the ceremony went swimmingly. BFF's nieces sat with me, hubby, and son, as her sisters were in the bridal party. I brought quiet activities to keep them entertained, and everybody behaved. I even cried from how lovely it was. When we got to the reception, nieces were returned to their parents, so it was now just me, hubby, and son. Dinner went fine. And then the couple took to the dance floor for their first dance. Afterwards, everybody was welcome to the floor to dance for a bit before cake cutting. At this point, the kids were running around and playing with each other, and it was a fairly secure place, and I knew almost everybody there, so I felt comfortable with my son playing with the other kids while hubby and I had fun dancing. Important to mention now, hubby offered to designate a drive so I could enjoy myself, so I had a couple of glasses of wine at this point. BFF had also been drinking and celebrating. BFF and her husband go to do the cake cutting, and hubby and I are a little slow getting there, so there was a crowd blocking our view. Suddenly, I hear BFF scream my son's name. Hubby and I push forward to see what's wrong. I see my son with frosting around his mouth and on his fingers. The cake had a small chunk taken out of it. I try to apologize, but BFF turns around and yells, "This is your fault. Your son ruined my cake. He's only here because you told me it would be worth it to include the kids." I yelled back, telling her that it was just an accident and the rest of the cake was still edible, that this was her nephew she was screaming about. She told me I was no friend of hers and he wasn't her nephew, in front of everyone. She told me to leave or she'd call security. Sen and I were crying at this point and the three of us left. One of the bride's sisters reached out to me after and apologized for her sister's reaction, but said I needed to apologize. I think sorries are out of the window now after her outburst. I told her sister so and said I expect an apology first before I say anything to her. Not only did she blow up at me in front of everyone, but at my son. I'm humiliated but even more angry on his behalf. So, am I the asshole if I refuse to apologize first? I would be very curious to hear some input on this one because in my eyes, I kind of have a feeling that everyone's kind of the asshole here. The person who brought their child a bit more so, but at the same time, the bride did yell at a child. She did want a child-free wedding. She was talked into it, so she definitely probably feels a bit of a, "God damn it, I should have listened to my gut" kind of moment, but she should not have yelled at a child. That being said, the child's mother should definitely apologize for her son's actions, and she should have definitely been keeping an eye on him, especially because of the environment in question. Same goes for the father. If she was free to let loose a little bit and have some fun, then the father really should have been keeping an eye on him, especially in an environment like this. I feel that both parties should definitely apologize, but the mom should apologize first. See, I don't know, because I could totally put myself in the shoes. The bride is totally in the right on this one, and the mom really fucked up, but at the same time, I do have a little bit of empathy going towards the mother. So I would really love to hear some extra opinions on this one. Originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for cleaning out the medicine cabinet? I, 57-year-old male, have been married to my wife, 52-year-old female, for 30 years. Today, while my wife was at work, I decided to clean out the medicine cabinet. I noticed that there were a lot of medications that were expired and a lot of repeats. For example, we had 4 bags of cough drops, 3 bottles of ibuprofen, etc. I decided to throw away the expired medications and throw away the extras. As I did so, I made a video of the process and pointed out the expiration dates on all of the medications and pointed out the repeats. I videoed myself throwing these items away and explained calmly why these medications needed to be monitored more closely in the future. The video was about 3 minutes long. I then sent the video to my wife so that she could see what I did. I was surprised when she called me back, very upset, asking why I hated her so much. She accused me of trying to shame her and said she couldn't understand why I was being so hateful. She told me that if I had been so concerned about our medication cabinet, that I should have been monitoring it on a daily or weekly basis, and that if I was that concerned about cleaning out the medicine cabinet, I would have just done it without making a shame video. I told her that I was not attempting to shame her, but rather inform her. She told me that she showed the video to some of her coworkers, and they agreed with her that I was the asshole. So, who is right? Am I the asshole? See, the thing is that you could have just told your wife when she got home, "Hey, I cleaned up the medicine cabinet. We had a lot of repeats and some of them were expired." And specifically stating, you and I need to be more careful about that. That could have been dangerous. After all, the medicine cabinet belongs to both of you. But instead you took the opportunity to not just clean it out, but record it, then send it to your wife. And it probably came off that you were entirely blaming her. After all, that's my impression. Keep in mind, the language here was not, I decided to clean out her medicine cabinet. It was, I decided to clean out the medicine cabinet. Honestly, it just comes off that you take pleasure in berating your wife and treating her like a child. I mean, hell, that would be my impression if my significant other just randomly in the middle of the day, while I was working, sent me a video of them going through something, throwing things away, and then, quote unquote, calmly explaining why what was going on was unacceptable. It's pretty gross, dude. This one was originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for not paying when I lost a bet? My girlfriend and I have been living together for about a year, and one of our main arguments is around my boxer mix, Max. She thinks she's a dog whisperer because her dog Jupiter is basically the perfect pet, and that I'm a lousy dog owner. I think it's because she has a border collie that just trained themselves. She hasn't developed any of the normal routines that dog owners do, like put their shoes out of reach or never leave food unattended, and gets angry every time she pays for it. She left a grilled cheese and Max helped himself. She was pissed and told me I was the asshole for not training my dog. I argued no dog is going to turn down a grilled cheese, and after arguing around, we agreed to see if Jupiter is that impressive by leaving steak in front of him, leaving and seeing if he sneaks a bit. She said $100 was on the line, and I said sure, and then said it was too low. Instead of $1,000, and I admit I agreed because I didn't think it was possible for me to lose. Well, we cooked 2 steaks and put 2 plates near Jupiter and left. She reminded Jupiter to leave it, and we left a phone to record in case he licked it, but didn't eat it. We left for 5 minutes. Jupiter didn't even seem tempted. I was honestly shocked and didn't think it was possible. I admit I'm kind of impressed. Max would have eaten it immediately, but now I can't afford to pay the $1,000. My girlfriend wants me to pay it to her in increments, like $200 a month until I pay it. I'm trying to talk her into lowering the price. I already paid her $100, but she thinks I'm the asshole for agreeing and then backing out. I already admitted she won, and I only make $21 an hour. I'm not rich. I think she's getting a bit greedy and smug from her winning, but am I the asshole for trying to go back on paying the entire $1,000 after losing our bet? So the thing is, you already admitted that you already bet $1,000 on the line because you assumed that it was impossible for Jupiter not to be tempted. So I know for a goddamn fact that if Jupiter did eat the steak and your girlfriend wasn't able to pay the $1,000 that you put on the table, you would have been pissed and calling her the asshole and been rubbing in her face. See, your dog isn't as well trained as you think he is. Honestly, dude, the border collie's probably smarter than you and heard $1,000 on the line and realized, I'm gonna get so much better shit if I just wait. But in all seriousness, I really do think that if you would have won the bet, you would have held your girlfriend to the goddamn fire over it. So yeah, you're the asshole in this scenario, 100% so. Honestly, you should try to negotiate $100 a month to pay her back instead of going for the full $200 if you really can't afford it. But at the same time, you brokered a deal, you lost the bet, that's on you. Like, I can't even imagine pulling that shit in Vegas. Like, going up to a roulette table, putting $1,000 on black, then it lands on red, and you look at the croupier and just, I don't have that kind of money, I thought I was gonna win. They're not gonna put up with that, are you kidding? You got outsmarted by a border collie. Deal with it. After all, they train themselves. Originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for apparently not treating my daughter like a normal person? I'm the father of 2 men, both 29-year-old twins and one 25-year-old woman. My daughter grew up with and went to high school and college with a very friendly guy who passed away earlier this year at the age of 24. All of my kids were good friends with this person, and my sons took him under their wings as the young man grew up. When they were in high school and college together, I was convinced that my daughter and her friend had a thing, and that, in fact, they were more than just friends. My daughter and I got into countless fights where she accused me of being a weirdo about her relationship with the young man, and although I say this half-jokingly, my main thought about their relationship was, when was he going to propose to her? Well, this past weekend, my daughter was staying over with me and her mother. On Saturday evening, my daughter got drunk, and she spent the night reminiscing about the young man and viewing short clips of them having fun in high school a decade ago. My daughter's face was red the entire time, and I know that it was because she was drunk. However, I sat down with her and jokingly told her, I can see that you're blushing just looking at him. With this, my daughter snapped at me, and she tearfully yelled at me that she wasn't blushing, that she was just drunk, and she told me that she just wanted me to treat her like an ordinary person. Well, that's my side of the story. My intention was only to make a small joke. Okay, look, so I get the intention is not negative, and it's just a tease to help lighten the mood with your daughter, but at the same time, she spent pretty much the last decade hearing you tease her about this and constantly give her a bit of a poke and making jokes at her expense about him. I get that it was all in good faith, but at the same time, she was kind of put in an odd position because of you. And then, after his death, while reminiscing, while a little bit intoxicated, you pull out the same teasing and she snaps. It's human nature. You may have had great intentions, but you can pave the road to hell with those. So this one's listed on petty revenge. In truth being, this almost ended up in a video, but it didn't, and you're about to find out why. This one's messy. And at first, you might agree with OP, but I promise you, you won't by the end of it. Petty revenge. Neighbor called the HOA because I was working on my boat in the driveway for a few days, so I emptied oily bilge water into her flower bed. I live in a condo complex with mostly senior citizens. My neighbor lives alone and is 70 plus, and reminds me of the crotchety old grandma from Malcolm in the Middle who's just nasty to everyone. When she moved in about a year ago, I quickly realized I need to get on her good side or she'd be a huge pain. I installed new smoke and carbon monoxide alarms for her, even gave her the alarms, helped her move patio furniture for winter storage, installed a new outdoor light fixture for her when hers broke, shoveled her driveway and sidewalk every time it snowed, etc. Cut to last weekend. I had the boat out and it had some engine trouble, leaking water into the hull. Instead of parking it in the community or trailer RV parking lot, I parked it in my driveway for a couple of days so I could keep the batteries on charge and have access to a hose to try to fire up the engine. I was out there working on it each evening. On the third day, I got a call from the property management company saying there was a complaint filed and I had to move the boat by the end of the week, or they would have to tow it. I was out there getting it all covered up to store it, and my neighbor came back from walking her dog and gave me the biggest stink eye. I had noticed that morning that when I was driving out of the neighborhood and she was on the sidewalk, she saw me coming and turned her back. I thought it was strange, but finally figured it out when I got the call about the complaint. After she went inside, I fired up the boat and let a ton of water leak into the hull, then turned on the bilge pump, which pumps it overboard and right into her flower bed. Haha, got her. Edit. For all those bitching about polluting, 1. I didn't realize there was any oil in the hull. The motor has never leaked oil that I know of in the past. Motherfucker, you said it was oily water. Dude, it's in the title, which you can't edit. 2. This wasn't Deepwater Horizon. There was a rainbow sheen on the puddle, but it wasn't like I was pumping a quart of oil onto the ground. I didn't even realize it until I shut everything down and climbed out of the boat. I'm very aware it's not good for the environment and would never do it on purpose. I volunteer as a groundwater quality monitor with my local watershed watch organization in my spare time. Dude, go fuck yourself. I was running the motor to try and look for additional water leaks that might not be fixed by the part I have on order. It wasn't the intent to dump a bunch of polluted water. Once I realized there was oil in the water, I thought it'd be a good story for the pet. Bullshit, dude. Bullshit. You literally said, after she went inside, I fired up the boat and let a ton of water leak into the hole, then turned on the bilge pump, which pumps it overboard and right into her flower bed. That sounds purposeful. The EPA is gonna have a field day with you, dude. Oh, and we're not done with the backtracking. Edit 2. I just ran into her on my way to grab my mail. I said, hey, did you complain to the HOA about my boat? You have my cell phone number. You could have just called me if it was bothering you. All she said was, you're not allowed to park a boat in your driveway, and walked away. Laughing, crying, tilted emoji. So, most driveway regulations, depending on the state, aren't long enough to house a boat on a trailer without blocking the sidewalk, especially if you're in a condo complex. Second, they give you a place to park your boat and RV and store it. If it was really that big of a deal for you to have access to the battery and tools and the hose, then just bring your boat forward on the evening, work on it, and when you're done, bring it back in at night. That's all you gotta do, and none of this would have been a problem. And hell, sometimes it's not even like HOA ordinance. Sometimes this is actually just city ordinance. And like, then there's the whole comment of you volunteering at a place that monitors the groundwater, and you supposedly had no idea that emptying the water from your fucking bilge pump into a flower bed wouldn't have oil, despite the fact that your title says, "So I emptied oily bilge water into her flower bed." You only backtrack because people got mad at you for polluting and essentially breaking the law. And then with all the backtracking, it just makes you look pathetic, dude. If you wanted it to be petty revenge, what you should have done was find every little HOA violation that your neighbors are conducting and then report them as well. That would be petty revenge. They get you for working on your boat, you get them for all the little shit they're doing. But you turning around and dumping oily water into someone's flower bed? And then backtracking when you got called out for it? Dude, no, that's not petty revenge. You're just being an asshole. There's a big difference. Posted to Am I Wrong? Am I wrong for saying that my mom didn't ruin my fiance's bridal shower and my fiance owes her a huge apology? My fiance asked my mother if they could use her house for the bridal shower, as she has a beautiful yard and garden area and she wanted a tea party theme. My mom agreed, asked if they needed any help, and paid for the cake. My future mother-in-law and maid of honor went to my mom's house early to set up, and my sister's dad came by to pick up my sister for his custody time. My fiance arrived and everyone was having a great time, until my sister's dad's girlfriend, who we'll call Tiffany, showed up. Tiffany came into the yard screaming that she's sick of this shit. Then my mom left lipstick on him while they were exchanging sister-in-law. My fiance was obviously mortified and my mom told Tiffany to get out. Tiffany began screaming that my mom is a whore and that she's sick of everyone laughing at her. My mom threatened to call the cops and Tiffany jumped her. Other family had to jump in to get her off. 911 was called and Tiffany took off, and was later arrested. I understand my fiance is hurt and devastated that her shower was ruined, but what bothers me is she blames my mom. It really isn't my mom's fault that her child's father and his girlfriend are a shit show, and it certainly isn't her fault that she was assaulted. Tiffany asked my mom to apologize to her for ruining the shower, which pissed me off. I said she owes my mom an apology for speaking to her like that. My fiance is upset. She says it's my mom's fault because she should grow up and simply exchange my sister without inviting all this drama. Shout out to Sadly the Worst for helping put this puzzle together because we're definitely missing a lot of context. Sadly the Worst has gone and collected some comments for us and it definitely helps paint a more full picture. Content warning: toxic relationships. Copied verbatim from OP's comments. No, this is absolutely not your mom's fault. She must be absolutely mortified. Your fiance isn't showing much empathy for someone who was attacked in their own home? Is she always this self-centered, or is this out of character? It is pretty out of character, but I know how stressed she feels with wanting everything to be perfect for the wedding. She had implied before that my mom is a whore and deserves this drama, but I let that go as she has a past history of her dad being a cheater and she hates cheaters. Another user commented, "And you're still with her after she implied your mom is a whore?" I know she has past trauma with cheaters and doesn't like how my mom and my sister's dad act. I don't even like how they act. Another commenter asks, "Do you want to marry someone who thinks your mom is a whore after graciously offering her home as a venue and paying for the cake? Why didn't your sister's dad stop his girlfriend from causing a scene? Did your mom cheat with your sister's dad or the other way around?" I don't like hearing that about my mom, but I understand she has past trauma with cheaters and has a huge issue with her behavior. He didn't know she was going to confront her. He thought she was just leaving to stay at a friend's house like she does every time they fight. I don't know if they still sleep together, but their behavior is very inappropriate. They do a lot of unnecessary things like go on vacation together and call it co-parenting. They both play a game and try to grope, kiss, cling to the other at drop-off while the other pretends they don't like it, which is where the lipstick came from. They hang out in the same friend group and his girlfriend isn't allowed. So, did your mom cheat on your dad? 'Cause that's bad shit otherwise. No, she didn't cheat on my dad, but she is inappropriate with my sister's dad, despite him being in a relationship. Has there ever been prior times where your mom did invite drama? I'm just wondering if there's any trend, because otherwise I cannot see why your fiancé would blame your mom. Edit, you're the asshole. Your mom engages inappropriately with your sister's father. She apparently did so when he picked her up. As you mentioned, you know exactly where the lipstick came from, and she chose to do it at the shower. While Tiffany is responsible for her actions, your mother absolutely has a trend of this behavior and engage in it during the shower. Now, y'all want to play Shock Pikachu that Tiffany reacted to that behavior. Your mom isn't solely to blame, but she absolutely invited this in. OP responds with, her behavior with my sister's dad has always been inappropriate. Another response, okay, so what did your fiancé say that was wrong exactly? Sounds like your mother chose to be inappropriate during the pickup during the shower. She's not to blame for being assaulted, but she 100% invited drama, and your fiancé sees the trend and wonders why it had to be today of all days and is absolutely owed an apology. OP responds with, she didn't do it on purpose. She acted how they always act and couldn't have predicted that was going to happen. It's okay to be disappointed, but I don't think my mom owes her an apology. Another commenter asks, is your mother in a relationship? If not, then it's your father who's being inappropriate with your mother because he's the one in a relationship with somebody else. So he is the one expected to have boundaries. OP responds, no, but she is aware he is, so I feel she has some responsibility. Another commenter, I would have a conversation with your mother before allowing her to be at the wedding. At the first sign of drama, she will be asked to leave, and if she doesn't, then she can expect y'all to go no contact. Your wife does not owe the apology because your mom knew what she was doing. Update me. My guess would be that was the command to ask the update me bot to update them within a specific amount of time. OP responds with, my mom has no issue with anyone except her ex and his girlfriend. There is no reason to think she would cause drama at my wedding. Another person says, dude, way to bury the lead. You completely leave out the fact that your mother absolutely did leave lipstick on him because they play a weird sexually charged game. Of course his current girlfriend is going to be unhappy. This is your mother's fault. OP responds, I agree she shouldn't be kissing him, but I don't think the lipstick was intentional. His girlfriend still had no right to trespass and assault her. She should instead break up with the guy who currently disrespects her. Lets his ex disrespect her, lets his 7-year-old disrespect her. Another commenter responds with, she doesn't have an issue with her ex if she's kissing him. I think you're being deliberately obtuse here. I'm not saying she dislikes him, but everything about the relationship is an issue. And another commenter, what a surprise here, we're putting more blame on the other woman than the man in the relationship as usual, lol. I never said more blame, but yeah, she knows and should stop engaging. Your fiancé implied that your mom is a whore, and you let that go? Your fiancé doesn't sound like a good person. OP responds with, I love my mom, but she shouldn't be kissing a man in a relationship. She shouldn't be laughing it off when he gropes her. They shouldn't be bullying his girlfriend together. I can see why someone would call her a whore. What the fuck is going on? I feel like every comment is just an episode of The Twilight Zone. So you don't think she could have chosen the shower of all days to just not do it this one time? Of course I wish she didn't, but I get why she didn't even think about it. They do this all the time, and no one has ever shown up at the house and caused a scene before. Yeah, but it doesn't matter if the lipstick was intentional or not. Your mother still did what she did, knowing full well it's not okay. Yes, the girlfriend should break up with your dad, but why are you pushing all the blame onto her for not leaving instead of your father for being an all-around asshole? He isn't my father. He is an asshole and I have no relationship with him, but I can only have so much sympathy for someone who continues to stay with him. He makes it very clear he hates her. So your mom is 100% the problem in this situation. Quite honestly, I don't blame your dad's girlfriend with that new info. Of bloody course she's gonna go after your mom. She's messing around with your dad behind his girlfriend's back. Everyone is the asshole. OP responds, he isn't my dad, and I think you would go after the guy cheating on you and not the woman he's cheating with. But this has been going on for a year, so I really What? So really, I think she would just leave. Was the pickup of your sister done before or during the party? Before. Did your mom really leave lipstick on her ex? Is this a love triangle type thing? He's in love with my mom. Tiffany is in love with him. I don't know. I can't figure out what my mom's goal is. Your mom is messy. Oh my god. Yeah, I think everyone's the asshole in this situation, especially just Everyone is the asshole. Oh my god. What a mess. Also, Sadly the Worst normally posts little, like, links of animals attached to their comments, which is really cute and sweet. But I can't click on them because I have no way of knowing what the licensing on these photos are and if I can use them or not, but they're very, very cute. So in honor of that, here's a photo of a raccoon. It's not the photo of the raccoon that's Sadly the Worst linked, but it's in the spirit of things. Hopefully I remember. But yeah. Overall, the fact that OP kind of left it vague and ambiguous with, yeah, there was some lipstick on him. Could have just been an accident, so it was kind of weird that Tiffany would just go all out and attack him. But after reading all of those and finding out they have a weird sexually charged groping game and there's probably more going on behind the scenes that's not just a weird sexually charged groping game, yeah, what the hell? That was worded really weirdly. And it's stories like this for why I don't take every story at face value and just immediately believe all of them, because oftentimes they can have a lot of twists and have some narrator biases attached to them. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.